my online lover and I met each other in the boss's Andean group we just met. We felt compatible. Every day, we took turns badmouthing our boss in different ways, until one day she asked to meet. After arriving at the meeting location, I suddenly saw my boss. I immediately made a frustrated phone call to my online lover. Who would have thought that the boss would be the one to receive the call? He smiled and walked towards me and said, "Baby, keep cursing, I'm listening." In my previous life, I must have created a lot of bad karma. In this life, I have to wake up early to go to work according to the leader's instructions. After I bought more than 30 cups of coffee to bring to the company, I should have paid 513 VND. Yet he only transferred me 500 VND and looked at me with a matter-of-fact expression. Is something wrong? If there's nothing else, you can go out. How dare he say that to me? To buy these cups of coffee, I had to arrive half an hour early to line up, and it was very difficult to bring them to the company. Yet he dared to reduce my money. I went to work early and now I still have a very heavy resentment. Even when Takim Tien came, he had to call me sir. I took the cup of coffee and pushed it straight to him. His glass cost 13 VND, now the amount of 513 VND is considered to have been paid. You only gave me 500, you must take that 13 coins to look cool, right? Having finished speaking, I threw down the glass and turned around to leave, leaving the leaders in the office to scream. All my colleagues looked at me with frightened eyes. After returning to his seat, the colleague next to him immediately approached. "Tu Shuyan, you're really brave. Do you know who Manager Vaughn is?" "The daughter of the nephew of his aunt's classmate's son is our boss Lu Nimien." "So what? Don't I go to work to make money? What's the difference between making up for work and paying for it? What's more, this Manager Vaughn only relies on a few relatives. Every day they bully me, a trainee, so it's not easy." The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I took out my phone and started typing on that Manager Vaughn. Elephants attach onions to their trunks. I don't know what he's doing, daring to keep my money. It's just that the relationship with Liu is still peaceful. Look at Liu's arrogant face like yen, it looks like she has 2 million. As expected, the person next to her is not good either. As soon as the message was sent, the other party immediately replied, "Baby, don't be angry. It's really too much, how can you keep my baby money?" Having finished speaking, the other party immediately sent a transfer of 5,200 and 1,314 VND. "Don't be angry anymore, let's go eat something delicious. This is really too much, what kind of management is this? So let the boss fire him." Forget it. Liu like Yan won't fire him. After all, she's still their support. After releasing my discharge, my heart felt much lighter, especially after receiving the money. The corners of the mouth are raised even wider. Colleagues immediately discovered something unusual. Just now I was angry, but now I'm happy. "Are you texting your girlfriend? How does your girlfriend look?" "I do not know." My colleague snorted and laughed and scolded me for being so stingy. Actually, it's not that I'm stingy, it's that I really don't know, because my girlfriend and I fell in love online and still haven't met. As for our acquaintance, it's quite strange. We met each other in the Andean group, cursing Boss Liu like yen. Who would dare believe that the company has a group of more than 200 people who gossip and defame their boss in the group? If you're not talking about it, you're saying bad things about the company's leaders. Liu like yen, as a boss, was slandered the most. When I first came to the company, my first impression of her was not good. Obviously, her beautiful, sophisticated face, wearing a neatly tailored black suit, and wearing jewelry also shows that her family background is not average. But perhaps because the fox's eyes were slightly exposed, giving off a clever and calculating look, and also carrying extremely strong aggression. I look and know it's not easy to get close. Moreover, Tam Lu Nguyen's reputation in the industry is also quite famous. He is young, has a good family background, has strong capabilities, and has taken over the company's power at a young age. Work meticulously, have strict requirements with subordinates, and are not close to people. If I hadn't graduated and couldn't find a job, I wouldn't have come here. Just a few days into the company, my colleagues pulled me into this group. Coming to this group is like returning to my old home. It's very fun. On the first day, I criticized the company's food for being a bit bad. Every day going to work is like going to visit. Also on that day, my online girlfriend proactively made friends. You don't like Lou as much as Yen? What a coincidence, me too. After that, we talked more and more often. She doesn't criticize me at all, she releases her emotions very quickly every day. We were together. Bao Bao, what are you doing? Processing documents. Next, the other party sent a photo taken in front of the desk. On the table, there were several folders of documents. Next to it was a beautiful hand, with long, slender fingers and round, manicured nails. The knuckles clearly grip a fountain pen. This is truly a gift for someone who loves hands. I couldn't help it. I kept zooming in on the photo and then touching the phone screen, until my colleague suddenly teased me. I put down the phone. Seeing the leader adjusting his clothes, he walked in front of me. Deep Shuyan, you disappoint me so much. I thought you were an intern and gave you a chance to practice. But what are you doing? Dare to treat the leader like that? Are you going to fire me? Anyway, I don't want to do this bad job anymore. If you really fire me, I will immediately run to Lou like Yen. Going crazy, reading to everyone how they cursed her. If you apologize to me, I can also forgive you once. Anyway, losing his job, he couldn't pay the rent. I don't need you. If you have the courage, fire me. Manager Vong heard that and was so angry that he took a deep breath and was about to open his mouth. Suddenly, someone called him. It was a strange woman. But as soon as Manager Vong saw her, he immediately welcomed her. Just looking at that obsequious appearance, I can guess that person is not ordinary. Who is that? Liu's assistant is like Yen. I nodded and looked at the assistant, expressionless, and opened my mouth. Manager Vong asked me to come over for a moment. Go now. Manager Vong nodded repeatedly, not forgetting to glare at me as he left. Deep Chuyen, you wait there. When I come back I will fire you. It's just that I waited all day but couldn't wait for him to fire me. On the contrary, I waited for the notice from the Human Resources Department that Manager Vong was fired. The reason is to reduce the financial reporting cost of this 13 currency. How can the superiors know? Manager Vong knew about this and directly cursed me loudly in my office because the company had been diligent for so many years. Even if there was no merit, there would be hardship, so why would he fire me? What's more, who doesn't know my relationship with my boss, General Liu? Arrange that the compensation money will be transferred on time. Please pack your things and leave today. After the staff announced, they immediately left, leaving Manager Vong slumped in his chair, wanting to cry without tears. That evening, the company issued new regulations. In the future, employees are prohibited from buying things the company needs, including afternoon tea, and are not allowed to advance money. The finance department proactively found me and said, "Give me back these 13 yuan." When I saw this message, I was so excited that I jumped straight out of bed. At night before going to bed, as usual, my girlfriend and I called and chatted. I told her this story. Unexpectedly, Lu Like Yen rarely does good things. Unexpectedly, her cold appearance also has a warm heart. Instead of being cold like usual, I thought my girlfriend didn't really understand the meaning. She explained to me, you see, she wraps herself up every day in the summer. She would rather turn on the air conditioner at 24 degrees than take off her shirt. In fact, Lu Like Yen has a slim body, tall figure, square shoulders, and the vest on her body really gives off a feeling. But unfortunately this person's temperament is too strong. Looking at it, you know it's not easy to approach. According to colleagues, it means looking at something that has lost worldly desires and can only be viewed from afar. Simply put, if you think about her being the boss, you'll immediately stop. Don't you like that style? It doesn't matter if you like it or not. Even if she is the next DAC Kai, it has nothing to do with you. After that, the two talked on the phone until 11 o'clock. I was so tired that I fell asleep. Meanwhile, it seemed like he heard the rustling sound of fabric rubbing on the other side. Good night. I hung up the phone and was about to turn off the night light when suddenly my phone received a few text messages, photos sent by my girlfriend. So do you like me like this? Hearing that, I opened the photo at will, but my eyes were wide open with just one glance. The drowsiness then disappeared. I only see the woman in the photo wearing a black silk nightgown, black stockings with red trim, sitting next to the bed with pure black sheets and white skin creating a clear contrast. A small warm yellow lamp at the head of the bed adds atmosphere. As for the other photo, she's wearing a black Spider-Man suit, a tight outfit that shows off her perfect body, her legs slightly apart, kneeling on the floor, hidden in the shadows. I took a deep breath and looked carefully at each photo. Good, 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 is this tempting you? I can't sleep like this, do you like it? Of course, I like it. Look, I'll send more later. After yesterday's words, the next morning I received the photo again. When I saw it, I felt like the resentment of going to work early had dissipated a bit, and the sense of justice in my body had also returned. After that, I looked at these photos over and over again, looked at them outside, and looked at them on the subway. In the end, I was almost late. As soon as I sat in my position in the company, someone knocked on the table. I don't like people who come to work on time. Come to the company a little early in the future. I looked bewildered at the man in front of me. He was wearing business attire and looked distinguished and strong. The man clapping his hands, standing in the middle of me, was the new manager. My name is Fong Nguyen. My work emphasizes efficiency. I hope everyone can keep up with my pace. Also, I don't like punctual people. The meaning of 9-hour work is to officially start work at 9 o'clock, not to clock in at 9 o'clock. There's one more thing, fine 200 VND. Hearing the words 200 fine, my heart trembled. Turns out, when I first started working, I heard it was flexible working, but in reality it was only flexible in hours, not flexible in hours. Sometime later, close to the end of work, Fong Nguyen suddenly asked each person to submit a report on their work, and then, okay, then I'll stay up all night and watch it all overtime with everyone. So, please hurry up everyone. Oh, how much is your salary? How much is my salary? I'm just an intern, you can't be asked to dedicate my life to the company. The more I think about it, the more uncomfortable it becomes. I immediately stood up to protest. Last week, didn't the boss also say at the conference that the company does not encourage overtime? Last week, Manager Vong suddenly came up with the idea of arranging a bunch of work for us. I complained to my girlfriend. To complete those tasks, I was so busy that I didn't have time to call her in the evening. Luckily on Friday, the company suddenly opened a general meeting. Lu Nuyen went on stage and said only a few sentences, one of which was that there would be no special situations in the future and the company would not allow overtime. As soon as these words were said, my other colleagues all looked at me with heroic eyes. Someone even secretly gave me a thumbs up. But Phuong Nguyen just remained silent for a moment and then laughed coldly. So, I know why you're still just a small intern. I've worked with Lu Tong for many years, and in the past I've always managed the foreign branch company for her. Only I understand what she means. She only hopes that you guys will increase your work efficiency. After speaking, Phuong Nguyen directly called me into the office to talk. You may not know what kind of person Lu Tong is. She hopes to foster a wolf culture in your company. If you want to pass the internship without working overtime, how can that be? General Lu hates lazy people the most. I am your direct superior, so naturally I have to teach you well. Today, the senior leaders have a meeting and need to report the work of everyone above and below. You guys have to do the same. My fists were now stiff. Phuong Nguyen glanced at me with disdain, told me to do a good deed and then let me leave. Girlfriend, call early tonight. Miss me. When I received a text message from my girlfriend, I was typing on the keyboard, imagining it was Lu Nuyen's face to vent my anger. Can't call today, I don't have time. Why did Lu Nuyen foster any wolf culture? Working overtime every day, shamelessly. I cursed. Later, she always played cards without a person buying vegetables and was cheated, and played chess and was always told how to play. The girlfriend was silent for a moment, then finally answered. So she's really shameless. I was about to continue complaining when I suddenly heard footsteps. The next second, Lu Nuyen led everyone to appear in our department. Phuong Nguyen hurriedly came out of his office to welcome General Lu. The other departments have all finished work. Why hasn't the department here finished work? Are you planning to pay the company's electricity bill for me? That's not true, General Lu. You just said you want to report on the work of the departments, so we are preparing to give it to you as soon as possible. Lu Nuyen looked coldly at Phuong Nguyen. Thin lips parted and spoke some rather cruel words. What are you listening to while you're studying? You can donate your ears if you don't need them, but if you need your brain, it's just for decoration? Or is it just to get taller? Did I say you'd give it to me at the end of the month? What's more, I only need a report from a middle-level leader. What do you mean by forcing employees to work overtime and then writing here? Meaningless competition, because your own working ability is not excellent, so you need to stand out to express yourself? If that's the case, I suggest you don't come to the company anymore, directly. Next, the burden of being a clown is more suitable for my talent for embarrassing people. It can probably win sales. In addition, the company never thought about fostering wolf culture. This is a human society, not a primitive tribe. Lu Nuyen made a statement, leaving Phuong Nguyen with no place to hide. Tears swirled around the eye sockets. Everyone can clock in and get off work now. If you work too much, I will ask finance to calculate overtime pay and transfer it to everyone's card. Now everyone can go home. Remember to be careful on the road. As soon as Lu Nuyen finished speaking, the scene rang out with a cheer. I looked at her figure, which was unprecedented greatness. Oh my God, this is the first time I see Lu Nuyen so good. I'm about to fall in love with her. I originally intended to send it to someone else, but I didn't expect to send it to my girlfriend. Just as he was about to withdraw, he suddenly heard a cry of surprise from afar. I raised my head and saw Lu Nuyen being supported by several people next to me. She was still holding the phone. At that time, her phone screen was a chat interface. I wonder what kind of text message could make this person fall on the ground. Her hands are red. Furthermore, why is she looking at me? When I vaguely faced Lu Nguyen, she suddenly opened her mouth. I was so scared that I was shaking. My mind was full of images of her just scolding someone. Now I just want to run away. Hurry. Hello boss, goodbye boss. Why am I so stubborn? But it's also because her quality is too strong. When I first interviewed at the company, I heard her scolding the leaders. Write this and call it a plan? Hang a bone in front of the dog, and the dog can write better than you. This part of yours is a copy, right? The yellow-rimmed box, at a glance, you can see it. How can you call this a plan? I don't know. I thought you deliberately wrote a few pages of jokes to tease me. After she finished scolding, those people turned their heads to look at me. She clearly froze, looking at me with strange eyes. Older brother. I froze in place, not daring to breathe loudly. You recognize me? We already talked. Having finished speaking, she walked loudly in front of me. We talked a few days ago. Have you forgotten? After speaking, she gave me the phone and looked at her avatar on it. I remembered. When I graduated, I couldn't find a job. I sent my CV everywhere, but there was no news. Then one day, I heard that advertising on the subway allowed individuals to post messages. I posted my CV directly. During those few days, I received many messages from H, including this person in front of me. After adding friends, she directly asked about my work situation, experience, etc. I asked her which company she belonged to. She sent me a company introduction that was as large as 50, and included an email. So I sent my CV again to the company, then was invited to an interview. Haha, I thought you were an employee, but I didn't expect you to be the boss. It turns out this is the real recruitment boss. At that time I really wanted to find a hole to crawl into. Do you think I'm HR? She raised her eyebrows, her face filled with disbelief, making me even more nervous. I'm sorry boss, it's all my fault. I have eyes but can't see the mountain. I have nothing else to do today, I just want to come to the interview. If you can let me smoothly join the company, I will definitely listen to you. Liu's expression seemed a bit strange hearing that, but she didn't say anything more, just waved for me to leave. After that, I smoothly joined the company, but with Liu's behavior, Yen didn't say another word. After joining the company, I also successfully joined the army of Liu's anti-fans like Yen, just like when I was a student slandering the school leaders. It's not that they hate her too much, they're just dissatisfied with the rules and stuff, so they need an object to vent to. As the boss, she naturally became that person. I just didn't expect Liu like Yen to actively seek me out and ask me about my feelings about the company. At that time, my head got really big. I even doubted that I was an anti-in the company. Surfing the web and the group was reported. I said the company was very good, allowing me to grow in awareness and know that there are things scarier than hell in this world. The leaders also care about us very much. Every day they send messages urging me to work, wishing they couldn't exploit me. Every day after speaking, I can only use a smile to hide my embarrassment. The office is large, it's just me and Liu like Yen. I was so stressed that my heart was pounding. Lu Nguyen nodded and opened her mouth again. What about me? Tu Shuyan, how do you feel about me? At that moment, an alarm sounded in my head. All the flattery words were thought through. Boss is of course the best. He is truly the bright light of our industry. By following him, I can definitely learn a lot of things. When I'm alive, I'm your man. When I die, I'm your ghost. Hearing that, Lu Nguyen burst into laughter. It's just a faint smile, but it appears on his cold face all year round. When she smiles, dimples appear on the side of her mouth. According to her smile, her eyes were also different from usual. My heart suddenly trembled as if I saw a half-melted iceberg. Strangely, I suddenly discovered that she was quite beautiful when she smiled. It's just that this strangeness didn't last long. I only saw her open her mouth. In a few days there will be an industry discussion. If that's the case, then you can come with me. Please tell me in how many days and when specifically? It's this weekend. I didn't expect her to choose such a perfect day. Boss, did I actually have anything that day? I'll charge you triple the overtime pay. There's also an overtime allowance, and the plane and hotel are all included. Actually, I had a lot of time that day. This damn temperament of mine was ultimately defeated by money. Hearing that, Lu Nguyen nodded contentedly and let me leave. After returning to my position, I immediately started asking the other trainees if anyone like me had been talked to. The answer received was no. I became even more suspicious. Why is this asking directed at me? A person who hadn't waited for me to think of the first method came to me. What did Mr. Lu say to you? Ask me how she feels about the company and herself. Phuong Nguyen's hand holding the fountain pen stopped. Perhaps this was the first time he encountered this situation, and he couldn't guess what Lu and Yen were thinking. That afternoon, Liu's assistant Yen came to our department. Phuong Nguyen raised his voice to welcome. He smiled like a flower. There's an exchange in the neighboring city this weekend. I'll go prepare a little. Don't worry, General Lu. I will definitely do well. There's also Deep Shuyan. Your room must go too. Having finished speaking, the assistant looked at me from afar, meaning don't forget. I quickly nodded. The colleague next to me quite teased me. Tu Shuyan, since when are you so close to your boss that you can still go on a business trip with her? This opportunity doesn't come easily. I'm also willing to give up my weekend sleep time to follow my boss on business trips. Is this a business trip? This means that I have to be in a stressful working state for half a month continuously. Colleagues watched excitedly, not afraid of big trouble. Actually, this is not a good thing, but some people really want it. After speaking, he signaled me to look towards Phuong Nguyen. I looked over and just made eye contact. I just saw him glaring at me full of anger. I just don't understand why I shouldn't have offended him in any way. These days, Phuong Nguyen makes the slightest move and brings up the fact that he is working abroad as a senior at a branch company. It was also said that the boss that year, while training at the branch company, and Phuong Nguyen supported each other. Even the guy can see it. Does he like his boss and Lu like Yen? I couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Then I'm really hungry. Even though Phuong Nguyen didn't like me, he still forced a smile in front of everyone. Anyway, when I was abroad, my favorite thing was to train interns. President Lu also knows that this time, under my introduction, I also brought Deep Shuyan along. After speaking, he even pretended to pat my shoulder. No need to thank me, you just need to study well, don't disappoint me and Mr. Lu. So I'm still a part of your game? After Phuong Nguyen left, my colleague reminded me in a low voice. If I made a circular lamp on this business trip, I would probably be targeted. Sure enough, on a business trip, we met at the airport. Phuong Nguyen looked at me from top to bottom, then opened his mouth slightly. First time sitting in first class on a plane, right? Lucky for you. With your salary, it's hard to have such a good opportunity, just enjoy it. While he was talking, Lu and Yen finished making their boarding passes. Before I could speak, she quickly opened her mouth. A chair still gives you such a feeling of superiority. If you're so rich, why don't you consider taking it around the street to play with Mr. Lu? Fuang Nguyen showed an aggrieved face, but Lu Nuyen ignored it, so when he turned his head to look at me again. Furthermore, there was only hatred left in his eyes. Everyone, does anyone understand? Am I really a cheap person? Anyone can glare at me. 3 hours later, we arrived at the hotel, needing to stay for a few days. After completing the check-in procedures, I discovered that my room and Lu Nuyen's were next to each other. Fuang Nguyen and his assistant's room is at the other end of the hallway. Deep Chuyen, change rooms with me, so when Mr. Lu looks for me at night, I can run over in time. As soon as my 8 trigrams arose, I was interrupted by Lu Like Yen. If I can't sleep at night, what can I do to find you? Fuang Nguyen, who's in the room next to me, do you have to take care of it? People who don't know will think there's something between us. After Lu Nuyen finished speaking, she pulled her suitcase and left. I was just about to follow when suddenly Fuang Nguyen held my hand. What is your relationship with Mr. Lu? Seeing that Lu and Yen were gone, he completely took off his disguise. Cold eyes fell on me, like being stared at by a poisonous snake, sending chills down my spine. Hey, young man, you're still young, don't dream about things that don't belong to you. People who want to take shortcuts will eventually be betrayed. I'm really not as old as the manager. I'm older. But from the looks of it, you want to take this shortcut more than me. I rolled my eyes and turned to leave. Now please stay away from me for a bit. Perhaps because my heart was not satisfied, Fuang Nguyen not only did not stay away from me, but even threw me a bunch of work that required me to complete in the hotel. About the industry discussion, there are all famous giants in the industry. What are you doing as an intern? You're still at the hotel, finish your work quickly, I'll praise you in front of your boss. So why do I have to travel for these jobs? Isn't it the same when I work at home? Indeed, the leaders are not good people. I angrily opened the document, but in the hotel I still couldn't bear it. I was about to complain to my girlfriend when I received a phone call from Lu Like Yen. Fuang Nguyen said if you don't want to participate in the discussion, you should spend time working. Who said that? I have never said this before. I remember you participated in many competitions related to anyone. This seminar has many experts in this field. Don't you want to come and listen? Want me to answer definitively? To be honest, most of the reason I wanted to go on a business trip was because of this exchange. If I didn't give you a lot of money, I would have chosen to pretend to be sick and not come. Hearing my firm answer, the person on the other end of the phone laughed softly. Give you 10 minutes, we'll wait for you in the parking lot downstairs. I immediately stood up, changed my clothes, and ran downstairs. Just walking to the parking lot, I heard Lu Yen and Fuang Nguyen talking from afar. I don't remember when you became my boss, able to control my wishes at will. I wanted Deep Chuyen to join me, what do you mean by keeping him at the hotel? Fuang Nguyen lowered his head, still unable to bear it, quietly justifying himself. I just feel that in this discussion, Mr. Lu brought an intern, it was completely unnecessary. In the past, in meetings like this, weren't I always with Mr. Lu? Why did you say this was a few years ago? What's more, every time I brought a group of people with me. Did you eat those people? Fuang Nguyen didn't say anything, just opened his eyes wide and innocently looked at Lu Like Yen. Tears rolled around his eye sockets. I hesitated, not knowing whether I should move forward or not, when Lu Nuyen suddenly turned around and made eye contact with me. Go, let's get in the car, just waiting for you. During the exchange, just as Lu and Yen said, there were many giants in the industry. Among them, Lu Nuyen was also invited to speak. This was the first time I seriously heard her talk like that. Listen to her constantly talking about the future development of the industry, below many people are filming videos and taking photos. I couldn't help but take out my phone to take a photo. In the photo, Lu Like-yan is wearing a high-class vest, has a naturally calm temperament, and speaks unusually. Along with the host's question, make a harmless joke or two. It's just that the tone of this conversation is similar to the one my girlfriend calls me every night, especially the joke she just told a few days ago. My new girlfriend told me. I was just about to think carefully when Fuang Nguyen suddenly interrupted my thoughts. Doesn't this woman seem quite magical? He didn't look at me, his eyes were always looking at Lu Like-yan on the stage. I went with her to many seminars and always thought the same thing. At that time, she was arranged by her family to go to the branch company to train, so I went with her to strive. I soon discovered her differences, but she shouldn't be the person you dare to think about. In turn, Fuang Nguyen finally withdrew his gaze and tilted his head to look at me. Beside her, there should be someone more elite. For example, me, do you understand? Despite saying that, looking closely, Lu and Yen do not seem to like Fuang Nguyen's management. Actually, I already have a girlfriend. This morning she even sent me some strange photos of herself, seducing me every day to the point that I can't even walk. Even though she still doesn't show her face, I can't deny that I really like her. It's best that way. Fuang Nguyen coldly snorted and said nothing more. That evening, the discussion ended. I finished showering, lying on the bed, preparing to rest, when suddenly I received a text message from Lu Like-yan. The water elephant in my room seems to be broken, can I borrow your bathroom to use it for a bit? Isn't this a 5-star hotel? The equipment is so fragile, boss, you should go borrow your assistant's bathroom, or Fuang Nguyen, he'd definitely be happy. Do you want me to finish showering and then have to walk halfway down the hallway, into the cold wind? That doesn't really seem reasonable. I thought for a moment, still agreed. The next second, there was a knock on the door from outside. Unexpectedly, Lu Like-yan appeared at my door. Thanks for coming to borrow the bathroom. On a business trip one night, my boss came to borrow the bathroom. My reaction was a bit. Slowly, something seems wrong with this. But at this time, Lu Nguyen was in my bathroom with the sound of water. My curiosity was piqued to the extreme. I took a look towards the bathroom. Behind the fogged glass, a vague figure appeared. At first, I looked at that figure very attentively. After a while, it quickly disappeared from sight. Am I thinking too much? Or are women's bodies all the same? Why is Lu Nguyen's body so similar to my girlfriend's? Maybe recently my girlfriend sends seductive photos to me every day. Even though he doesn't show his face, it's enough for people to think of. After watching it a lot, it probably leads to me always being able to think of her. Deep Chuyen doesn't know when, the sound of water stopped. The bathroom door opened a crack, hot air quickly escaped through the gap. Inside appeared a hand. Lu Nguyen called me, can you give me the hairdryer? Not so good, huh? Even though I thought so, I held the hairdryer and walked over. As a result, when I was one step away from the bathroom, my left foot suddenly kicked my right foot, directly crashing into the bathroom. It's over, this time no matter what you say, it's hard to explain it. I groaned in despair as I rushed into the bathroom. A small cry of surprise came from the bathroom, sorry, boss. I was just about to close my eyes, but realized that Lu Nguyen was already wearing a bathrobe. Her hair still had drops of water running down the ends of her hair, dripping down, flowing along her jawline, collarbones, and chest. Finally, hide in the darkness at your waist. Coincidentally, Lu Nguyen also has a small mole on her neck. This point is exactly the same with my girlfriend. How in the world could there be such a coincidence? Deep Chuan, have you seen enough? Your saliva is about to fall to the ground. I suddenly regained consciousness and was so scared that I ran out. Damn it, what have I done? I sat down on the sofa, doubting life. I secretly watched another woman's spring scene from my girlfriend, which was strange. Why hasn't she called me today? If it were normal, we should be lying in bed right now, saying sweet nothings to each other. While thinking, Lu Nuyen finished drying her hair and normally walked out of the bathroom. Thank you. Oh, nothing, I continued instinctively. Welcome next time too. Facing Lu Nuyen's smiling eyes, I couldn't help but slap myself. This broken mouth speaks first, the brain follows. After that, Lu Nuyen decided to leave. I followed behind, intending to send her away and lock the door. Ah, that's right, Tiu Shuyan. She suddenly changed the way she addressed herself, her tone was gentle. I've never heard of it. If I have to say, this voice is very similar to my girlfriend. I don't know if it's because I miss her so much. Actually, I haven't told you yet. Before she finished speaking, I stepped forward to open the door and encountered Fong Nguyen standing in the hallway. He seemed to be preparing to knock on Lu Nuyen's door. It's just that after seeing Lu Nuyen come out of my room, his eyes widened. It's not okay, it's not okay. After returning from a business trip, my whole body felt unwell. Lately, Lu Nuyen keeps running into my head. My whole head is full of images of her speaking at the exchange. If you keep thinking about it, you'll think of her in the bathroom. I shook my head, wanting to get all these evil thoughts out of my head. The colleague next to me noticed something unusual and tilted his head to look at me. What's wrong with you? After returning from a business trip, he looks strange. Isn't this poor kid stupid after working too much? I came back to my senses, looked at the work piled up like a mountain in front of me, and couldn't help but sigh. That day, Fong Nguyen suddenly discovered Lu Nuyen coming out of my room. Even though he didn't say anything, everyone could see that he was unhappy. Wait for me to come back and arrange a bunch of things for me. Not saying people can be leaders, the arrangements made for me are within the scope of my job, so I have absolutely no reason to refuse. But it's both complicated and very difficult to do. All morning I spent in these dry and tasteless data. Finally it's lunch break. I immediately packed my things and stood up. At this time, my colleagues asked me to go out to dinner and I flatly refused. Because I have more important things to do this afternoon. I have to go meet my girlfriend. After talking for so long, I still haven't seen what my girlfriend looks like. Every day I'm so captivated by her photo that I can't move. It's time to take another step forward. I met my girlfriend at the restaurant downstairs from the company. When I sat down, I couldn't help but start to get nervous. What if we meet, Teo? What if they don't like me? At this time, my phone suddenly made a light noise. I thought it was a message from my girlfriend, so I immediately opened it. The result was sent by Fong Nguyen. The document sent to you, all compiled. I don't care what time it is today, it must be completed. A high-ranking official is forcing people to death. The higher-ups treat me like a horse. Lu Tong said that work must improve work efficiency. Since that's the case, you should finish it quickly. Seeing the message Fong Nguyen sent, I became even more angry. Isn't this using chicken feathers as a sending-off order? I gritted my teeth, looked out the window, and saw Lu Nuyen's figure again. She walked lightly and quickly out of the company, adjusting her collar in front of the glass. The smile on his face couldn't be hidden, it looked like a peacock with its tail spread out. Very good, I'm even angrier. Why do I have to worry about work when I go to a meeting? She can happily enjoy her lunch break again. Unfortunately, I didn't have the courage to correct my workplace, so I only dared to secretly complain. Calling his girlfriend, Lu Nguyen, is really so obnoxious. Even if she wears makeup for half a day, she still doesn't know who to meet. She doesn't manage her subordinates well every day. Also, why did Lu Nguyen pick up the phone at the same time? Just when I was doubting, Lu Nguyen walked into the restaurant. She stood in front of me. Her voice and the voice on the phone rang out at the same time. "Baby, keep cursing, I'm listening." Bang! My phone fell directly to the ground. I stood stiffly in place, with only 4 words in my mind: life. Oh my God, why is my online lover Lu like Yen? I looked at the woman opposite, so calm, only to see my spirit collapse even more. "What's wrong, baby? What's not fun anymore?" She finished speaking and put the cut steak on my plate, but I just wanted to cry. This morning she even opened the employee meeting on the conference call, with a cold face, talking about the company and the key work content. Just a few hours into the quarter, you're already calling me your treasure. In front of me, I'm so confused. Why are you in my anti-fan group? Is it so satisfying to hear others curse you every day? I asked. Nothing, just wanted to hear employees' comments about you. Anyway, it's very difficult to receive real reviews in the company's suggestion box. In the group, you can see everyone's attitude towards the company, Lu Like Yen replied. This statement is a bit redundant. Try removing the camera on top of the suggestion box. I said. So why are you still looking for me to love online, even when you meet me you don't want to tell the truth? Hearing that, Lu Nguyen coughed awkwardly. My ears gradually became red, and he probably wouldn't believe it. At first, I accidentally saw your ad at the subway door. I simply wanted to be friends with you. I like someone with unique thoughts like you. I was also stunned. Lu Nguyen quickly explained to me, you wrote in the corner of the advertisement that it's okay to recruit or make friends. I approached you with the mindset of making friends. Yet you immediately asked about my job. Hearing that, I really wanted to find the chat from that time and throw it in her face. It was clear that she was the one who did it, meeting with me first, asking about my educational experience, asking about previous processes, etc., exactly the same as HR's questions. Sorry, I've never talked to a guy before, and I don't know what to say. So Lu Like Yen has never had a boyfriend? At that time, I only knew how to do recruitment interviews. I didn't expect that I would be mistaken for HR. Tu Shuyan, when you suddenly asked about the company, I thought you finally noticed me. I didn't know how to answer. I was afraid that if I said too much, I would be considered narcissistic, and if I said less, you wouldn't understand me well enough. So with this unique thought, she decided to send the company's introduction documents. To maintain the spirit of initiative and opportunity, I also immediately sent my CV. No wonder when Yen first met Lu at the company, she had a strange expression. So I thought she didn't like me, so I didn't dare to talk to her anymore. Lu Nguyen heard that and said, as for me, when I found out that you joined the company and were added to that group, I thought about using a secondary account to add you and chat. Unexpectedly, after talking for a while, we became a couple like that. Misunderstanding at first, but in the end we still came to the original result. Anyone who predicts would not call this fate. After finishing eating, Lu Like Yen took the initiative to pay. When she left, she gently pulled the hem of my shirt. For the first time, I felt an uneasy feeling on her body. Tu Shuyan, this is the first time I've been in love, and it's been online. Is this considered a successful meeting? Can we still be together in the future? Will you still let me see your private photos in the future? Her face became even redder and she said again, "Okay, you can try touching it if you want." "Very good," he agreed. "Then no." No matter how long it has been, Lu Yen finally showed a smile. She took my hand and returned to the company. It wasn't until she got on the elevator that she let go. When the elevator arrived at my floor, I was just about to leave. She suddenly approached me and spoke in a low voice, "I'll take you home tonight to show you my black socks." I kept nodding my head. When the elevator door opened, I suddenly bumped into Fuang Gwen, talking about fate. Fuang Gwen and I probably have some fate. Since Yan and Lu and I met and officially got together, we often hide in the fire escape to go on dates. Every time I left I bumped into him, his eyes looking at me became more and more resentful. When I completed my internship and officially accepted the job, rumors arose from all sides. Some people say I succeeded in officially transferring because I seduced the leader. When I heard this sentence in the tea room, I immediately became angry. If I seduced the leader and got the job, then what do I count as working overtime these past few months? Is it social benefits? No matter what I signed in the document, he did not agree to officially accept the job. Who knows what tricks he used to get the job officially? In the tea room, Fuang Gwen and a few middle-level leaders chatted innocently and excitedly. The words became more and more obscene. As expected, continuously making concessions does not produce good results. Sometimes you have to choose to go crazy. I immediately rushed up. "Manager Fuang, are you talking about me? Did I seduce the leader? Did I seduce anyone who still goes to the hotel? Say something." As if he didn't think that I would rush in so loudly, Fuang Gwen couldn't react in time. My movements quickly attracted the attention of other employees. Everyone stopped to observe. "Manager Fuang, tell me, which leader did I sleep with? Did you see it with your own eyes? I work every day, you don't see me with the leader. Do you think you have dog eyes? Can only see what you want to see?" Someone next to me burst out laughing when he heard that. At this time, I was glared fiercely by Fuang Gwen. "Deep Shuyan, there's no need to pretend to be innocent here. Whatever you do, you understand clearly in your heart." Manager Hung, an elephant with onions in his trunk, didn't know what he was pretending to be, daring to keep my money. Fuang Wen's face immediately became gloomy. He grabbed my wrist with one hand and shouted towards me, "Don't fake it. Stupid, do you dare say that you don't seduce Lu like Yen? Isn't she seducing me? It's her, every day she sends small sexy photos to seduce me." To prevent people from believing, I pulled my hand away from Fuang Gwen and immediately called Lu like Yen. The other party quickly answered the phone. "What's wrong, baby? You suddenly called me. Didn't you say you have to be discreet at the company? Or have you finally thought it through, won't let me hide it anymore, and are planning to give you a status?" At this time, I looked towards Fuang Gwen. His face was as white as paper. The body staggers, wanting to fall. The leaders who had just talked to him took turns moving away. I told Lu like Yen the situation, and very quickly someone arrived. After entering the office, Fuang Gwen was still unwilling and cried for Lu as Yen clearly said. Lu Yen conveniently hugged me and kissed me on the lips. "Do you understand now? We are already together. So what about me? What do I count? I came back home because of you. Do you have any misunderstanding? Why did the company send you from a branch company to be a manager here? You're overseas, your abilities aren't outstanding, the company was originally going to fire you. Just looking at the fact that you've worked for the company for many years, give you a chance, so they sent you back." Fuang Gwen stiffened in place, seemingly unable to accept the truth. Lu Nguyen said he worked too haphazardly and could not make rational decisions, so he decided to let HR recommend firing him. When we left, Thuong Nguyen slumped to the ground, losing her old glamour. Despair, crying, just no one cares about him anymore. After that, the news about me and Lu Like Yen that day spread throughout the company. While working, my colleague secretly poked my arm. How did you and your boss get together? This is a long story. It has to be said that from a strange person advertising at the subway door, another strange person saw it and started the story. Just like that, after that we were together. Of course, after that there was a ceremony and a football team.